Hey, what is up, my beautiful people? I'm excited to come on here and talk with y'all. It's been a minute since I shared. I want to talk about this saying about not knowing what to say. I've been finding myself saying that a lot. That when it comes to coming live, like I'm doing right now, and sharing my message, that like I don't know what to say. And it's not that I don't have anything to say. Like I'm a speaker. Like I've got lots of stuff to say, but it's that I feel like I say the same stuff a lot, and that's part of speaking. Like you study any leading speaker, and you'll see that they oftentimes say the same things over and over and over and over and over again. But then there's also this other thing where like I've been in some deep transformative growth for the past 3 years, and the things that a lot of things that I was convicted about, passionate about, connected to. Heels that I would die on has just changed. My identity shifted. My perception on who I am and what God's called me to do has changed, has evolved, and it creates a resistance to me sharing about certain beliefs or truth because I feel like it's still unprocessed. There's still some figuring out for myself that I'm doing, and there's uh, a lot of unresolved emotion or trauma around certain areas. And so it's just like I'm just kind of like dealing with that. I've always been, a believer in counseling and different forms of therapy. And I'm consistently seeing my therapist again because it's just so much that I'm digging into, moving through, processing, etc. And I was thinking about the fact that a lot of my clients have a similar struggle. Either they have conflict because of emotional things that they've gone through. Maybe there's painful parts of their story. They're worried about sharing. What's up, everybody? My bad. I'm like not being engaging. I'm like publicly processing for a reason. But I'm hopeful that this is helpful to you. What's up, Chris Singleton, Martin, Barry, Jennifer Watson, Mary, Courtney, Jen? I see you. Everybody else who I've neglected to mention, just want to say what's up, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Let me know if you run into this, if you see yourself challenged by this, if you have specific questions. I am sharing from a very vulnerable place. I'm uncomfortable. I don't like sharing when I don't feel like I've got like exactly what I'm going to say or the direction that I feel like I'm going to head. And this feels a little bit more like open ended. Like, hey, I want to talk about some of the conflict I've been having because I know that so many of my clients face that same thing. As I was saying, whether it's from their unresolved trauma or even if they resolved it, their fear around, putting other people's business out there or coming off as a victim because they're sharing about painful places. Like that is a area where they often struggle to express their message because they're like, man, this is just too much for me. I'm still like moving through this and healing from this. And then there's this other area where it's like an expert who I got so much to say and I could talk about 90 different things and I'm having trouble like really zoning it in and narrowing it down and like saying something that's my niche, my lane, my thing. And in both scenarios, whether it's the trauma or the expertise, there's a tendency for my prospect and my clients to stifle their expression, to choose not to advance their mission with their message because they're in process or because they don't know how to seek clarity. And one of the things that has helped me to go live is number one, I've had great mentors and peers in my life who will, call it out when they see it. The other thing that's helped is I had this thought around like, okay, I'm telling myself I don't know what to say because I have some areas that I'm healing from and I have some beliefs that shifted. And I'm so focused on the conflict that I'm missing what there is for me to communicate. Say it again. I'm so focused on the conflict that I'm missing what there is for me to communicate. It's like just because I'm dealing with stuff over here doesn't mean that I can talk about all this other stuff over here. And I think there was this like fear of me talking about this stuff that's not this stuff that I'm in counseling about and still processing and moving through, because I wanted to be mindful that I wasn't in this tendency that I had as an athlete, which is to be externally successful and hide all the real pain that I was going through. And I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be I didn't want to like start talking about stuff that I know I could talk about while hiding and moving through stuff that I'm still healing from and still processing. And what I realized in that is like, oh, this isn't that. Like there's a difference between choosing not to share something because I'm working on it, I'm healing from it, I'm processing and I'm moving through, versus like I'm just living a double life. Like I'm being one way and I'm not actually addressing it. And that's what the athlete version of me did. Like I wasn't in counseling. I wasn't having emotional practice. I wasn't having those tough conversations with God. I don't know why my internet's like chopping up a little bit. It's getting too spicy on the internet, is what my guy Parker J would say. But it's gotta catch my train of thought again. I hear you, Jen. What's up, Mathina? Relationship, you've been there before for sure, right? um but again, the athlete version of me didn't have counseling. That's what I was saying, didn't have counseling, wasn't having the tough conversations with God or the real conversations with God. I didn't have emotional practices, but like now I have those things, right? And so like I've been like so hesitant to go live and to talk about certain things because of this conflict and this perception that I was repeating the behavior when I was an athlete. If I were to share, the parts of my message that I feel more comfortable talking about, or the parts of my beliefs I feel more comfortable sharing, um, and I realized, like, in preparation to go live for this, that like that's not the case. Like what I'm doing is actually what I would suggest, right? If something is so emotionally challenging for you to share, and you're gonna, go off the Richter, or you're gonna lose all control, and you're going to be in a conundrum, and you're gonna be re-triggered, and all these different things. There's a level of healing that I would invite you to go through, with therapy and counseling and journaling exercises and those different things, to really get to a place to where you're sharing in this industry what we say from a wound, or excuse me, from a scar and not a wound, right? You're sharing from something that has a layer of healing over it and isn't just a big open gaping wound where if somebody looks at you funny while you're telling your story, or somebody say the wrong thing, or if you don't get the feedback from the audience that you're looking to get, now you're triggered, now you're questioning, now you're wondering if you really have what it takes, and or you're back into the pain of the story that you shared. And so there's a way to go about it where you're speaking from the scar instead of from the wound. Um, and the other thing I'll mention, and I'm hesitant because I don't want to sound contradictory, because there is another scenario in that, because I see a lot of people use the fact that they're still healing, or they're not comfortable with sharing their pain, as a excuse to stay stuck in their, what I would call, disobedience, or in their I would call it disobedience. They stuck in their disobedience to their divine call, specifically around this area, to share their message. Like, oh, I'll share once I feel more healed and congruent and all this other stuff. And it's just like that's a cop out. Okay. And because I have gotten a ton of healing from speaking and sharing my story. I say this like quite often about, like, I used to hear this phrase all the time about your pain will become your power, your test will become your testimony, your mess will become your message. And it used to frustrate me every time I heard those words, because when I heard them, I just had a mess. I just had a test. I didn't have a testimony. I didn't have a message. I just had a mess, and I just had a test. And what happened is, as I started to share my story and have the courage to be vulnerable about the places where I was resistant to, I started to see that people's lives were being impacted and benefited and changed and transformed and encouraged and equipped, because I was willing to go there. And in those moments, seeing that the pain that I was holding on to was actually medicine for other people, that the challenges and the depths of trauma that I went through was actually benefiting somebody else's journey to not have to go through that or to not have to sit in the implications of that trauma for longer than necessary. And I started to see the pain become power versus theoretically knowing that it could be. And speaking was a huge part of that. And so maybe you're like I was, and maybe you just have a test in some areas of your life. Maybe you just have a mess in some areas in your life. Maybe you just have pain in some areas of your life. And you haven't turned that pain and the power and that mess into a message or that test into a testimony because of the unwillingness to share and to express that message. And if that's you in this moment, I invite you, because of the lives that are at stake, because of the people who are stuck in the pain that you were once in, to take a step in sharing that message. And maybe for you, it's just writing, doing a written post where you go into some of it and maybe not all of it. I think sometimes we have this fear that I have to air all of my dirty laundry versus like, hey, I'm just going to pick out a couple of clothes from the dirty laundry to share. And I don't even call it dirty laundry, y'all. Like, it's really just your story, the things you've been through, the things you've overcome. I went to go get my haircut today. And I noticed that about me too. I noticed that when I get inconsistent on coming live, I also let my hair get crazy, start growing a mini fro. So I went to go get my haircut today, and I was talking to my barber, and he said, I asked him how he's doing. I could tell he's carrying something. He was like, "Man, I lost my friend of 32 years." And he started just telling me this whole story, and man, it was so hard to hear that because I could feel his pain and his loss. And at the same time, I couldn't help to think of how much death reminds us of the value of life. That when people pass on, it causes us to think about eternity. It causes us to think about life beyond just our current human experience. And for me, that's a big uh, tool that I have to help me move out of resistance into resolve. And maybe I'll do another live stream on that. But when I am just thinking about me, the pain I've been through, even the message I have to share, like there's a level of that doesn't always pull me out of resistance. I have to move beyond myself, and I have to start thinking in light of eternity. And I start thinking about the divine calling that's on my life. And I think about the fact that I was sent here. And I think about the fact that I was called. I think about the fact that I was chosen. I think about the fact that there's so many people who I grew up with who are not alive, who are dead, who are in jail and prison and doing, life sentences or long-term sentences. And here I am with the gift of life, the gift of relationships. Why would I not use that gift to share? I want to be remembered for the lives that I impacted. I want to be remembered for the vulnerability that I expressed. I want to be remembered as a person who put it all out there. I want to be remembered as someone who shared his gifts, his love, his talent, his light, his essence, his wisdom, his expertise, his relationships, his ideas, his creativity with the world. Simply stated, I want to be remembered for giving all of myself to the world, not just some of myself. And it's because of that eternal mindset. It's because of uh, the valuing the gift of life that we all have that I choose to move out of resistance and into resolve, out of avoidance and into showing up. I was going to say awakening, and just because resistance, resolve, avoidance, awakening, speaker thing. Is that making sense? Okay, so I'm hoping you're gaining some value around this. I'm hoping that you're able to identify areas within your life, within your expression, within your purpose, that maybe there's some resistance. Or maybe it was a part where I addressed that maybe you just got pain and you haven't turned that pain into power because you haven't shared that pain with enough people to experience its power in helping them. I encourage you to take a step. And if you need support with that, that's what I'm here for. I'm so passionate about working with people who get this conversation that we're having. For so many years, it felt like everybody in the speaking industry was like marketers more than they were divine vessels. It's like they knew how to put together a demo reel, they knew how to put together a talk with 3 points and a call to action, but they weren't doing it in a way that was spiritually aligned, that was around a divine expression. It was like, hey, I'm just going to market, speak, make some money, do the little pizzazz thing, rather than I'm going to treat this as a divine calling and I am going to go about this in a way like I'm advancing a divine message. And for me, those are the type of people that I like working with. People who understand that, like, they value their faith, they value their beliefs. They're not trying to force it on anybody. They're not trying to shove it down nobody's throat. They're not trying to be religious in the wrong environment, but they are unwilling to compromise their spiritual beliefs in order to serve people. And if that's you and you're like, bro, that's so me, I'm looking for that help. I want that support. I want to speak on TEDx stages. I want to speak at corporate and colleges and associations and masterminds. I got a coaching business and I know I want to feel it by telling my story on stages vulnerably and passionately. If that's all the type of things that gets you going, that gets you juiced and pumped up, like, we can help you. The process that we're bringing people through, I'm telling you, man, I had this thought the other day. I was like, man, like 10 years from now, like the speakers I'm training are going to be the thought leaders of our era, of our generation. Like, they're going to be the Brian Tracy's and the Tony Robbins and the, fill in the blanks of the world. Like, I see it so vividly, so clear because of the depth of work that they're doing and because of the calling that I know that's on their life. And I know that there's people that are watching that you're in a similar boat. Like, you're in a lot of ways, I hate this language, but you're the world's best kept secret. Like, you got so much game, so much sauce, so much insight, so much expression, but yet baby visibility. And for me, like the world is upside down. It's like people who have visibility is like the people that's doing dancing videos on TikTok versus the people who actually have something to say that can transform a life or heal a heart. So if you're the real deal and you got substance and you just need strategy and a little bit of storytelling coaching, like, I got you. There's so many areas for you to plug into. We host transformational events for speakers every 4 to 6 weeks. We got a TEDx event coming up. Stay tuned for that. Um, and we've got coaching programs to help you to, leverage TEDx in a way that's honoring of the platform, in a way that advances your movement uh, around coaching and helping you to literally get on the stages that are aligned for you. So many times I spent time in this industry chasing opportunity, saying yes to everything, hoping that if I did it all, I could kind of like find the people that were connected to me, versus how do I get really connected to who I'm called to reach and go with a sniper approach versus a shotgun approach. Okay, all things we can help and support you with. So just reach out. You can drop, speak in the comment or something like that, and we're happy to, start a conversation, see if it's a good fit, and vice versa. So I love you. I see you. I see you, and Shelby. We'll talk. We'll talk. Okay. So that's it, y'all. Again, let me I love it. Jennifer's pumped, y'all. Y'all show Jennifer some love. She's got a TEDx coming up April 7th, talking about the chemistry of resilience. Resilience in a different way. What I loved about her, I had some time to spend with her this past weekend working on this message, just the last, like, those minor tweaks that make major differences. And really, we made some major tweaks as well. But what I loved is that she hit this vein where she started to just break it all down, and how we've done resilience in the wrong way. So, anyways, I don't want to spoil the TEDx talk, but y'all make sure you follow her journey. I've been working with her in her coaching business and her speaking for a little over a year, or maybe 2 years. I always forget because I've known her as a friend before she ever became a client. So Follow her journey. She's doing amazing things in the world, and I always love your engagement. Okay. Just making sure I didn't miss anybody's questions or anything. Oh, what's up, Tanya? The Police Resiliency Journal. What's up? That sounds cool. Wonder what that is. Okay. All right, y'all. Move beyond confliction into contribution. I love y'all, and I'll see you soon. Peace.